Would you like to be somebody who knows how empathy affects your ability to delay gratification? Then listen to this entire video where I explain how life is a continuous negotiation with your future self. And if you have a high level of empathy, you are able to empathize with your future self and delay your gratification then to benefit your future self. So before we get into this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to learn more about self-development, dating, Jungian psychology, and how to reduce suffering in life. Let's get into it. So as I said, I think life is a continuous negotiation with your future self. The way you behave now will determine the consequences you need to bear in the future. It is not a matter of if you need to bear any consequences, but which consequences you need to bear. So you need to choose your behavior carefully. Whether the consequences are beneficial or deleterious, they will be there and you will have to bear them. Delayed gratification is a type of negotiation strategy here, by which you give up some pleasure now in the current moment in order to receive a greater reward in the future. It is a strategy that attempts to create positive consequences for your future self. Here's an example. Let's say you want to become fit and get a six-pack, So you decide to go to the gym every second day. It's really exhausting and it's tough. You need to get up early to go to the gym, and you need to eat lean, healthy food, which is different to your past routine of having a lie-in every single day and eating junk food. Hence, you need to undergo discomfort. So you consistently hit the gym for 6 months, and now you are fit, strong, and have a six-pack. Whoop-de-doo, awesome. Here, in this case, you needed to give up the comfort of eating junk food and lying in order for the benefit of feeling healthy and looking ripped in the mirror. The reward is great because now you're confident, you have a better focus because you're healthier and you get more work done every single day. So you had to undergo discomfort in order for a really big reward. That's delayed gratification. The opposite is instant gratification, where you engage in pleasure in the moment, in the current moment, which however costs you in the future. Let's say you have an exam tomorrow, but your friends are inviting you to a house party in the evening, the night before this evening. So they say it will be the best party of the year. You cannot resist the temptation, so you join them and drink alcohol and go to bed very late in the morning. It was awesome, it was a blast. So you wake up then with your alarm in order to go to your exam. But you're experiencing a severe hangover. You feel nauseous and have a thumping headache. You go to your exam, but you fail it because you weren't able to focus because of your hangover. Here, the instant gratification of partying cost you a good grade on your exam. So you indulge in fun pleasure now, but you had to pay for it later on. And you had to pay a big price for it, let's say. So the question arises that, how do we determine if somebody is able to delay gratification? We need to figure that out. And I think there are two traits. Here are two traits that I think, in my eyes, determine your ability to delay gratification. Empathy and conscientiousness. Empathy first. How does empathy affect your ability to delay gratification? So, when you negotiate with somebody else, if you have a high level of empathy, you will feel bad if you exploit them. You wouldn't want to be exploited and taken advantage of. Like you can put yourself in their shoes and try and feel what they would feel. And hence you don't exploit them. You would rather aim for a win-win situation where you and the other party can benefit. Well, I think the way you negotiate with your future self is the same. Your future self feels like a different person, but if you are empathetic, you're more able to feel what your future self would feel. So if you need to choose between two behaviors, one of which would be quite self-destructive in the long term, then you can imagine and feel how severe the consequences would be. Thus, you choose to avoid that self-destructive behavior. So what empathy also entails, really like the focus of it, the focal point is feeling. To consciously feel. It's all about grasping as accurately as possible how somebody else feels or in general, the ability to feel. So if somebody is quite dissociated with their body and doesn't really feel much pain or isn't conscious of it, then I think maybe they struggle to consciously feel empathy also with others. I'm not sure whether this is psychologically true, but I hypothesize it. So, and when I mean dissociated, like you have pain in your body, but it is not being detected by your conscious part of your brain. Like you're experiencing it and you're suffering under it, but not consciously, and therefore you're less able to consciously empathize and feel what other people are feeling. Now, as I said, you're also negotiating with your future self. So, who tends to feel like a different person. So if you're high on empathy, maybe you are more able to place yourself in the shoes of your future self, and therefore you'd want to treat them well. And because you know how bad the consequences of certain actions feel, and you obviously don't want to feel those painful consequences. So the barrier between your current self and your future self is made more transparent, and you can see through it, and you can relate to your future self, because that barrier is really what prevents people from behaving in ways that will benefit themselves in the long term. Or let's say it's the thing that doesn't stop people from behaving in destructive ways, like it blinds them. Like I know Jordan Peterson mentioned this about the Simpsons series, how Homer, I think he like chugs vodka and eats loads of mayonnaise and thinks then, he says something like, I'm glad I'm not future Homer because he'll have to deal with the consequences of chugging vodka and drinking and eating mayonnaise. Like the future of the Homer will have to bear the negative outcome of that. And thankfully, I'm not future Homer. And it's that myopic perspective of not being able to see that your future self is you, essentially. So the second trait that I think that influences your ability to delay gratification is conscientiousness. So conscientiousness, I googled for a definition, is on Google the quality of wishing to do one's work or duty well and thoroughly. It also entails, quote, conscious people tend to be efficient and organized as opposed to easygoing and disorderly. So I think if you're conscientious, you want order. You also want predictability. You want stability. I say that because I think you want order in the future also, because order stresses you out. So if things are orderly and chaotic, it affects you, it produces negative emotions in you, and you don't want that. And maybe this is also mixed with neuroticism, I'm not sure. As in, if you're neurotic and conscientious, then chaos stresses you out. I'm not sure if it's just being conscientious which stresses you out if things are disorderly, or if also neuroticism would need to be mixed into it. Anyway, because you would be very aware of how disorder stresses you out if you're conscientious, then you would be more conscious of making sure that your life remains orderly and remains stable and healthy. Hence, you ensure that your future self can exist in a relatively pleasant state of order. You make sure that you don't behave suboptimally, which would reap consequences that harm your order, the order in your life, and that would harm your future self, just because you're conscientious of it. So in conclusion, I think empathy affects your ability to negotiate with your future self and delay gratification, because you are more able to feel and understand, comprehend how your future self would feel bearing the consequences of your current behavior, if it's destructive or positive, useful, So you're more able to place yourself in the shoes of your future self. And conscientiousness entails wanting to live in an orderly environment, and because disorder stresses you out. So you arrange your life and set up your life that you will continually try to, or you hope, you configure your life in a way that should enable you to live in a state that is orderly in the future, because disorder stresses you out. And therefore you're more able to delay gratification, because delayed gratification is like, you would need to always keep your environment orderly, which is, difficult and tiring, organizing the people around you, always cleaning your room, You'd rather, the instant gratification version would be to just lounge on your bed when you get undressed, throw all your clothing on the floor immediately, instead of folding them away neatly and orderly. So you need to sort of delay some sort of gratification. You need to, get yourself to clean your room, keep the kitchen in order, clean the kitchen, all these sort of things. So please leave a comment below whether you agree with the idea, the concept that empathy, high levels of empathy, increase your ability to delay gratification, because you are able to empathize with your future self and feel what your future self would feel if it were to bear the consequences of certain behaviors you are currently acting out. And whether conscientiousness also is a variable that mediates the degree to which you can delay gratification, whether you're high on conscientiousness or low on conscientiousness. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to learn more about self-development, dating, Jungian psychology, and how to reduce suffering in life altogether. Thank you for listening.